Welcome everybody. This is gonna be a quick one. I just want to show you how I built my own AI prompt enhancer application that runs with Grok with Q using its API key, and it runs locally, at least at the moment. So I want to show you how I went from this very basic idea, as you can see some screenshots, to basically a very working MVP here. I named it Prompto. I don't know why. So here, basically, I can just type a very draft prompt like make it shorter. And by clicking enhance text, you can see that Grok provides me with a markdown of an enhanced prompt, which is actually super sick. Because one of the main issues that I had is that I always, whenever I draft prompts, I tend to drop them into a temporary ChatGPT and be like, refine them. And I feel like it takes not a lot of time. If you like add up all of these seconds, it's very hectic. So having something that runs always and is super fast and basically enhances the prompt is very sick. And I really love the fact that it works seamlessly. So I want to show you how I went from this ugly design to this elevated, more nice aesthetic. As you can see, some details here. Whenever I click on the text box, the stroke lights up in a way, same as the text. As you can see, all of the components that are text-based follow the same padding. Of course, we keep it marked down here, so there's gonna be a typography change. But overall, it's a very nice, very clean design that makes sense. You click again, everything works perfectly. We have a nice intro at the start, at the beginning. So what I used to basically build out my idea and see if it actually works was a tool called Kortix Suna, which is basically similar to a tool like Manus. It's a multi-agent tool that lets you build websites, do extensive research, scroll the web, do a lot of very unique and maybe extensive stuff that a typical chatbot wouldn't handle. In my case, I'm using the open source of Kortix Suna. They have a pretty easy installation, but you need a lot of API keys and a lot of services. But their setup wizard is very straightforward, so you won't have any hiccups, to be honest. So I'm using the open source version, and as a model, I'm using Claude Sonnet 4. So what I did first was I went to a Figma and I basically tried to create some sort of an idea on how this would look. At first, the first UI generation that I had was this one, which to me feels very hectic, and it really doesn't feel lightweight. Too many boxes, so many blocks to interact with. I don't like this concept. So my idea was to basically see how minimal I can go. So here's the text box. Here's the enhance button. It's powered by Grok. So my idea was whenever a user inputs text, this enhance button lights up and it's ready to be used. And then I had this fantastic idea of having some sort of visual enhancement here while the enhancement is being done. And I wanted to demonstrate it with yellow, something like as in progress, and some sort of animation here that would light up or do some sort of animation, basically. And then whenever it was successful, it would turn green, and this won't be the output, actually. It would look more something like this, our initial one, and then the output. But I just didn't want to waste time. I wanted to focus more on the idea of having some visual feedback as well, which it didn't really work out my way, but my goal was to have an MVP that I can actually use myself, and I'm satisfied by it, and the design looks great. So this was my initial idea, and this is what I basically fed to my chat here at Kortix Suna. And I want to design a mini prompt enhancer, like a modal or a mini app that I can be able to enhance my prompts on the spot and copy the enhanced prompt as markdown. So I basically pasted my screenshots, and I wanted to also try Figma MCP here and see if it works. Some identity stuff, and that's why the aesthetic is also dark and it follows some of my values. But I probably didn't really build it that well in order for all the data to get captured properly. So it's whatever, but I think it did its job at a good level, at least. So I have my Figma file here. and I generated the token from Figma MCP. If you want to know how to do this, it's very easy. So just let me know in the comments below. And of course, never share your API keys. I will delete this one. Always be mindful of that. And let's go ahead. So Suna says, I would love to help you. So we're basically here having Suna, something like exactly like Manus, think about it, executing all of the files that need to be done. And as you can see here on the timeline, we're basically starting out with Suna scanning my screenshots, HTML and CSS, JavaScript for UI. Then we need to set up the Grok API, which is that's super easy on our end. And then we have features and functionality, testing and deployment. And the initial MVP that we had, basically, after all the tasks were done, was the image that you show here. Let me pull this up. This one. So is this something that I wanted? Not really, but I feel like this was a great start and a great foundation to then start using Windsurf more. And before Windsurf, refining more stuff that I can with Suna. So this was the initial output that we got. As you can see here, the API is not working, but Suna here is running some tests to see if the UI and UX work properly, and they do. So after the initial build, we had a live demo, which is now not viewable, and we had some instructions in order to use this locally. So once the build is done, the foundation and the MVP, what I went ahead and did is to basically create an account in Grok, console.grok.com/home, and go to the API keys, just create a new API key, add a name, and copy the value in order to have your own working version of this app or whatever app you want to build using this kind of workflow, like vibe coding workflow in a way. So here was a live demo, and I also asked for a zip file that I can use in order to basically grab this piece of code and use Windsurf to refine it even more. And then I was trying to run some live previews at the moment to showcase to you the old version, but I wasn't very successful at it, so it's whatever. So after now that we built the initial foundation with Suna, we also got our key from Grok, so we are ready to actually have an AI implementation. We now dropping the basic foundational project / application to Windsurf to refine it further. So here on Windsurf, what I did, as you can see, I have also a preview. If we go to the chat and expand it a bit, you will see that I started working with a preview. So I asked Windsurf for a preview to start installing all the missing dependencies or anything that's missing to have a clear preview. So my initial preview was basically, let me go ahead and see, it was this one, not this one, the screenshot here. This was my initial preview inside Windsurf. So after this preview, and let's see, we had a complete, find the chat. So we had a few missing dependencies, as expected, everything got fixed, and we were able to run our preview. So as you see here, I had an issue with the CSS values, and Windsurf investigated the issues, applied all the correct enhancements and fixes. And after that, because the model looked something like this after the initial CSS changes, I wasn't really a fan of it because I see a lot of heavy outlines. It's a very poor, feels like broken down in a way. So this was my initial canvas in order to grab this and basically start introducing some ideas on how we can play with states. As you can see, whenever user clicks on it, it gets highlighted, same as the button here. It should have been displayed properly. And as you can see, I went ahead and kept working on refining how I wanted the UI to look. So let's go back to Windsurf. I also used MCP here, and I installed it properly using the settings that Windsurf has. And it for sure worked because this is how I achieved to have this initial style. As you can see through Figma MCP, it's very close to what I actually wanted. So the data capture was probably very efficient, I would say. After that, and after I gave Figma Windsurf my Figma MCP, I went ahead and I basically did what I said. I provided a couple of screenshots. after refining the UI manually on Figma. And let me view where was it. I was fixing some CSS gradients. So here we are. Introduce a gray style button with all the necessary states. So here was my initial screenshot. As you can see, I fixed the button and I fixed a couple of things, the label, the padding and stuff. So I had a very good generation from Windsurf. And then we went ahead and run another browser preview. And then I was like, let's fully use SADCN and not mess around, because I've seen a lot of projects where components are supposedly being created, but the CSS styles are all over the place. So I was like, let's use some theming here. And I used TwigCN, which is a SADCN theme editor. And I asked Windsurf to basically import my specific theme. It's not being saved now. And basically refactor all of the components in order to have the correct CSS values applied and not have any overlaps or any bullshit like that. And it did actually a great job, but it was necessary to go back to Figma, refine my UIs a little bit more. And as you can see here, I wanted to componentize everything and see if everything is applied properly. And as you go down here, I'm doing some more send element commands, and I'm trying to fix some stuff more closely and more in detail. So I was fixing a few buttons here and there, nothing crazy in terms of work. And then I was trying to also fix some border radiuses that were having some issues. As you can see now, everything looks perfect. And again, I was just sending elements in natural language, asking Windsurf to do refinements. And after a while, as you can see, I'm becoming more clear with my screenshots. So I was like, please fix these border radiuses. They don't look elegant. So screenshots help a lot, especially with Windsurf. And now I'm basically explaining my idea of the hover over effect. And to be honest, instead of having this simple one, Windsurf went ahead and actually did this very cool gradient one, which I love, alongside with the text. So I guess that's a W. It did make sense to him or to it, to whatever. So we had the animated gradient outline effect implemented. It was kind of tricky to actually do it right away. So that's why I'm starting providing screenshots of the actual preview in order for Windsurf to get an actual look. So it got debugged pretty quickly. And after that, I'm pretty sure that I want to just swap the logo. As you can see here, the initial ones had this funky prompt enhancer box. And I just went ahead and created a logo. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep this name. It just sounds fun. I love the typography. So I did a quick swap on this by dropping my SVG on my project files. And so the logo issue wasn't something crazy. It was a matter of where it existed inside the project. And once Windsurf moved it properly, it got loaded up. As you can see, it runs smoothly, no issues here. After that, I'm pretty sure that I fixed the powered by Grok badge. As you can see, it's more elegant and discreet. And also, whenever you actually type something and the generation is successful, this build change is changing in enhancement in progress and then in complete. I can probably refine those three states more, because now I see that this is kind of different, but that's a minor thing. So I fixed the badge. After that, I started to adding some padding to make everything look more balanced. I can probably add some padding to the bottom as well. And then I started adding some visual updates just to make Windsurf understand what I need to see changed. And I also, here is where I added the actual user hover over effect. And it was great. Those three screenshots were very crucial. Windsurf understood the task completely, and this is why we're here now. So after that, I remember completely what I did. I was basically trying to fix this enhancement text box. As you can see, the initial ones, it was more heavy loaded. It also had a lot of scroll bars here. It also had a lot of scroll bars here that you cannot see here on Figma. So it was a very, very messy output. And I basically started refining it through screenshots again and through sending elements and in natural language, trying to make Windsurf understand what needs to be done. Again, what if we aim for something like that? As you can see, I'm providing visual updates before and after to Windsurf to get the idea fully. So after that, it did understand everything correctly, and we have a perfect, nice box. As you can see, this exists. I can maybe remove that, hide that as well. Copy as Markdown works properly. As you can see, it works properly. So this is basically the app. I did a couple of padding fixes as well afterwards, but as you can see, it works properly. We can try a more sophisticated one. Let's say I need to create a to-do list app for developers. Let's enhance our prompt. Goal, create a concise, neutral prompt that instructs an AI to design the core specification, to-do list application aimed at developers, blah, blah, blah. Add this, add that. Variables, neutral, concise. It's a working freaking tool. I'm very excited. It's actually one of the first times that I'm doing a very polished work on a local tool that I can use regularly. And actually the costs aren't that high. I think so far I spent less than a cent. I'm pretty sure. Usage. Yeah, monthly spend is under a cent. So these generations are very light. And yeah, if you enjoy those types of videos and those workflows, I also dove deeper into those in other videos on my channel. And if you are an actual graphic designer or branding designer that wants to get paid more and get seen more and actually integrate AI into their workflows, then please book a discovery call with me in the link down below. I want to build a private community where I can solve all of our branding problems, get together, improve, increase our knowledges together, and yeah, overall have a great time. See you the next one, guys. And yeah, please, if you want to get in touch, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you build similar tools, if I should expand more on this tool, make it open source, I don't know. See you soon.